Hello, everyone, and welcome to the DCU Soccer Podcast. I'm here again with James from DCUnitedKingdom. Say hi, James.
Hello, hello.
And so the first thing I wanted to talk about was some news and conversations happening in the community. The first thing is that the pro referees actually came out and said that the final goal in our 3-3 draw against the Chicago Fire was actually not a goal because it should have been marked offsides, which I found interesting. But yeah, so what do you think of that?
It's a bit odd coming from a UK point of view, because we wouldn't have that happen over here. So you don't hear about the referees ever after the game. So it's always nice to hear the Pro Referee Association coming out with stuff like this. But when it's against and goes against your team, it leaves a bit of taste in the mouth. And it's nice to see that they're willing to admit that they were wrong. But yeah, I mean, it was offside. There's a reason why they've got VAR. It's to be used. I'm just amazed it wasn't checked out.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I think it was kind of a close call, but yeah, I guess the reason why we see it here more often is because we do have VAR and we do have that system in place to make sure that stuff like this does not happen. I do also think that Jalen Robertson should have been in a better position, however, but still, it's still upsetting. We could have gotten 3 points, which could have made a big difference in our season and stuff. So
yeah, could have really kicked on for that game against San Jose.
Yeah, so I don't have anything else to say about that. It's kind of disappointing, but what can you do?
Exactly. When this decision's been made and it's gone, hindsight's a wonderful thing, but as long as they learn from these mistakes, then that's a good thing. So they don't carry on making these mistakes. But I think at the moment we're seeing it happen far too often.
Yeah, I think so, and I think I do have some faith, some very little, I guess, in the referee situation, because when we did have that call, actually, I guess for us in the Columbus game, with referee Ted Uncle, he has, I don't think he has been anything but a fourth official since then. Yeah, so because I've seen him in like a couple of games as the fourth official, but nothing.
Yeah.
I haven't seen him as the head ref, and I think if he was, we would have heard as well. But
yeah, to be honest, I think we would have. Yeah.
But yeah, so I think they do take this stuff seriously. Yeah. And I also did hear a rumor. May not be true, but I heard on a rumor on like Twitter or something that the person in charge of that call was actually let go. So
really,
yeah, I did hear that. I mean, again, I can't confirm it, but I heard that, and so it seems like they're taking it pretty seriously. It seems like it probably wasn't their first issue if they were literally fired immediately. But yeah. So anyway, let's move on from that kind of stuff, and let's talk a little bit about the men's national team friendly tomorrow at Audi Field against Jamaica.
Yeah, it's good to see it's at Audi Field and getting DC back on the map with the national team anyway.
Yeah, I think so, and I think we will see Paul Arriola, a DC United player, obviously. Definitely a name, probably at least in the 18. I think this game is going to be used as a Gold Cup like tune-up, as well as to see if some of the players can fight for a position. So I'm kind of assuming Arriola is in like the maybe one or maybe second in the depth chart, but. So I'm assuming we'll see him, and I think he's done pretty well with the national team so far.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'm kind of excited about that. I won't be going, but I'm definitely going to watch it.
Yeah, it's going to be hopefully an entertaining one. 'Cause I know Jamaica generally have some quick plays on the field, so hopefully there'll be a bit of pace. They'll, 'cause you know what friendlies like, they generally will fizzle out in the second half, but hopefully that'll keep things going. To be honest, I probably won't watch it.
Yeah, I mean, you could catch it on replay or something, but I'm sure there'll be highlights of, if anything Arriola does or anything like that. Yeah, I'm pretty excited about this and excited about our position in the Gold Cup. Obviously we have a new coach. We have pretty much, this is going to be one of the first times with, I would think, like pretty much a full roster. We haven't played with that in, I don't even know how long, I guess, since we didn't qualify. But yeah, it'll be nice to see Pulisic come back and play alongside Adams and McKennie. We haven't seen enough of that, I don't think. I think that's going to be a really key thing for this team, as well as seeing, Arriola, of course. And and
Yeah.
a lot of the key pieces all together finally, and maybe we'll be able to actually pull this Gold Cup out.
Yeah, it would be great to see USA back doing well on the international stage after obviously what happened in the World Cup qualifications. So fingers crossed you guys do well.
Absolutely. So yeah, I think we can move on to the San Jose versus DC United game. We
Yeah,
tied them 1-1 in a kind of, I thought it was an entertaining match. I thought it was
yeah.
definitely more so than some of the games we played this year. But yeah, I think, yeah, do you want to start out by talking about, maybe Russell Canouse coming out in the first half?
Yeah, that was. I still haven't seen what the heck happened to him because as far as could tell from the commentary, he came off injured. Have you managed to see anything about if he was actually injured or not?
Yeah, so it seemed like he rolled his ankle at some point
Yeah,
during that first half. But yeah, he came off pretty early in the match, and I
yeah,
think everyone was kind of concerned. But I
yeah,
think he'll be all right if it's just a
yeah,
rolled ankle. But
yeah. Because obviously that after he came off, then we had to do a formation change, didn't we? We had to revert back to our 4-2-3-1 because Areola moved to central midfield, didn't he?
he did. Yeah, maybe you're right. I don't remember quite if we've shifted then,
Yeah, because I
but
think
yeah, I do remember
Birnbaum.
that Areola coming to central midfield.
Yeah, because Birnbaum then shifted to left back for a short period of time, and then you had Jalen Robinson, Fred Brullant, and who did we have at? Who the heck did we have at
Because
right
Hara
back?
came in
Yes, he did. Yeah,
as
yeah.
one of
So
the wing backs.
yeah, so he came in at right back. So yeah, I'm pretty sure we went to the 4-2-3-1, and I still don't like seeing Areola in central midfield. It just doesn't seem right. I think Segura should have been back there, but we talked about that on the last episode. But I managed to get the score prediction right.
Yeah, you did. You got
Yeah,
1-1 for
yeah,
sure.
got a bang on, which I was quite pleased in a way that I actually managed to predict that. But I do feel like in the second half we could have actually walked away with a win on that one, because we started to play a heck of a lot better in the second half. Because the first half felt DC of old, where we were just slow, we just didn't seem to be at the game really. But then the second half we came out and we had that sense of urgency. We were pressing again. And I feel like after the first goal went in, we could have actually quite easily nicked another goal, and I feel like we had VAR going against us again in that game.
Absolutely. I mean, there was that one where there was pretty relatively, I guess, obvious handball, and that was not
Yeah,
even gone to VAR. But I mean, as like just coming into the match, I thought we did pretty well. We had a couple chances in the first 15, 20 minutes.
yeah,
I think we kind of like suffered a little bit when we had to shift Areola back to like into the central midfield. Segura stayed up top,
yeah,
but yeah, I mean, losing Knaus is usually never good, so
yeah,
we had to get through a game without him. But yeah, I thought we had a total of 15 shots in the whole game with
yeah.
5 on target, which seems like an improvement. So yeah,
And then Birnbaum and his head injury. Oh, that was sickening. But I've seen some pictures of him on Instagram where he seems to be all right. So hopefully he'll be back ready for the next game. But yeah, were you at the game on Saturday, on Sunday, whenever it
yeah, I
was?
was there. I was
Yeah.
there.
Did you see what happened with Birnbaum, or did you see the extent of that injury?
I remember yeah, obviously I saw them both of the players go up. I
Yeah,
remember him going down, and I remember like I heard something weird. I think it was the collision,
yeah,
and then I saw like a little bit of blood, and then people kind of like got right on him. So,
yeah,
and then I saw Brilliant basically tell Ben Olsen they needed a sub immediately, and I was like, oh, okay,
yeah.
this does not look good at all. But they did say
No.
that he passed his concussion protocol, so he didn't have a
Oh, good.
concussion, but that he required like 12 or 15 stitches, so
Yeah.
that's not
So
good. It was a lot of blood.
yeah, so saw it on TV, and they saw him just go straight down, and he's just there holding his head, and there's just his face is just completely covered in blood. And then they switched over to Ben Olsen, and he just literally he's facing the bench. He can't even look. He looked absolutely distraught. And yeah, I mean, it was horrible. And then yeah, as I said on the pictures on Instagram, you can actually see the stitches in his forehead. So in the place it was, I'm not surprised there was so much blood, but thankful that he did, as you said, passed his concussion protocol, and he's actually all right.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't think that the challenge there was necessarily that bad, but it did seem
No,
very like kind of careless, kind of like, I think I tweeted around that time that like the referee had kind of lost control of the game and people
yeah,
were, kind of throwing themselves maybe a little bit extra than you would if the referee had like, I don't know, shown a card.
yeah. Well,
But
well,
yeah.
that's another talking point with the showing the cards thing. Did you see about where he showed what he thought was a second yellow card to one of the San Jose players, and then the red card, and then had to immediately rescind that red card because he realised that it was his first yellow card.
Yeah, I saw that. That was pretty embarrassing.
Yeah,
I was cheering because I was like, oh, it's a red, but
yeah,
it ended up not. Yeah.
yeah. I mean, I was just, and then there was the times where I mean, this referee he had an absolute appalling game. There was a couple of times where Rooney was complaining about the distance the wall was away because he was counting 7, 8 yards. He wasn't going to the full 10, and it was just it was bizarre. Because again, surely someone could just have a little word in his ear, just like, yeah, you haven't gone the full 10 yards. You might want to remeasure that. It's just, I just can't believe it that it's national TV. It's a professional match, and the referee was doing things like that where you can't count the amount of yellow cards is given to a player, and you can't count to the right amount of yards the wall needs to be away. I would love to see another apology from the Pro Referee Association again for this because I feel like we deserve it.
Yeah, for sure. And especially with the distance, it wasn't like it just was like the first time. It was happening consistently, and I think that's what
Yeah,
was upsetting Rooney. And he had a lot of words with the ref even
yeah,
after the game. And I witnessed like after the game, Ben Olsen basically pulling Rooney away from the refs who were being escorted off with security. So
yeah. I heard about
yeah,
that.
that was interesting for sure. But yeah, very, very frustrating and very,
Yeah,
very much like pretty basic stuff you got to do. You got to control the game. You've got to, count the right amount of yards and stuff like that.
yeah. It's and when you've got the person who's running the Pro Referee Association, Howard Webb, who was a top referee over in the UK. I mean, it's not like it's just someone who hasn't done refereeing or has only done it part time or whatever. It's someone who was at the top of the refereeing game. You'd think when you've got someone like that in charge, that would filter down and actually, have an influence over the referees who are doing this week in, week out.
Yeah, for sure. The amount of issues at this point is kind of like, because I mean everyone complains about the refs, but this is
Yeah,
getting to the point where it's for both teams. People
yeah,
are getting hurt. A lot of challenges are sloppy. People are trying to fight at the end of the game, stuff like that. It's just it's not it's not it's not safe. And
no,
that's one of the main responsibilities of a referee is to keep control so the players are safe, stuff like that. So yeah.
yeah, yeah, absolutely.
But we could talk a little bit about the San Jose goal, where I would
Yeah,
say Robinson pretty much left his mark.
yep,
Wando at the back post, which sounds familiar, I guess, having that back post
Ye-
infiltrated. But
yep,
yeah,
yeah. I mean, it's getting to the point where it's actually consistently on the left back. But for me, what I would love to see is not to have the left back exposed so often. I'm actually having the crosses prevented from coming in. Because if you can prevent the cross coming in, then the attacker's never going to get a chance on goal. But if it does get through there, then yes, we do need to be a lot better. I think it was Birnbaum who played him on side as well. Because I think Wanda was actually ahead of Robinson at the time. So a couple of things that could be improved, but the man's got to do the marking.
for sure. Yeah, I mean, yeah, it was kind of disappointing. I think we all wanted to get the early goal, especially since we did come out. We had a couple shots on
Yep.
goal, and yeah, but we went down 1-0, and we went into the half. We came out, doing okay. We were
Yeah.
we were getting some more chances again, and yeah, let's talk about the goal that we got back. to end up tying it.
Yeah. Lucio Acosta back at it again, 2 games in a row. Who would have thought that? A couple of weeks ago. Yeah, it was a lovely little goal from him. No arguments with me. I think Acosta a couple of times looked like he was having a little bit of a temper tantrum when he lost the ball, but he showed us in the second half that, you know what, he's still got the skills, he's still got the passion. And yeah, I was just really pleased with how he took the goal. So yeah, like I said, no complaints from me, and it's great to see Acosta banging two games in a row now.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it was like he picked up the ball after it was spilled out by the keeper, but he had to
Yeah,
be in the right place. He had to notice what was going to happen, and I think he did a great job to just put that ball back into the net
yeah.
very calmly.
And I'd tell you what, there was a hell of an effort for Hara though. That was a hell
Yeah.
of a long. See, I think it wasn't that long beforehand where he hit another long range effort and tested the keeper out, which was. It's good to see that he's got a good long range effort on him. It'll be nice to see him do that more often.
Yeah, I think one of the things that I want to see more is taking those chances, even if you are a little bit outside the box. Like,
Yeah,
we're at a place where most of our games we don't have that many shots or many shots on goal even. And
yeah,
so being a little bit more liberal with like, yeah, just try something, see if, yeah, the keeper might spill it or it might go in. It might be a crazy shot. A
yeah.
lot of times you don't necessarily know. And I think if we continue to take a little bit more chances, maybe 20 or 30% more, we could see, yeah, more shots on goal, more goals.
Yeah, well, that's it. If you don't have the attempts, you're never going to score, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, and I think there's been a couple games where we've, come out and there's only been 1 or 2 shots on goal. And, that's great when one of them are goal, but,
Yeah,
you can't count on that 50% conversion all the time. Yeah, and Hara does have a really good long range shot. I think I've definitely seen him do that a couple times, and it usually is it's not always like the ball you see looks like it goes out the stadium. It's sometimes pretty decent, and
yeah,
I think he's pretty good at that.
yeah,
But yeah.
absolutely. I was just going to mention about towards the end of the game where Moreno had that volley as well, which looked absolutely spectacular and was a great save from that keeper again. So that keeper had a decent game in the end.
Yeah, he did. He saved a decent amount of stuff. Yeah, I've seen Moreno do that like once or twice, I think, this season, and
Hmm.
he's definitely got that on him for sure. And he's very dangerous when the ball comes out like that to him.
Yeah,
And I also thought he did pretty well in the game as a whole. I think he's always one
yeah,
of the players that is maybe you don't necessarily notice all the time, but he's always linking up between the defense and the offense, and so
yeah,
incredibly important. And I thought he did a great job.
yeah. And I tell you who I was impressed with again for another game in his little run that he's had is Segura. I thought he played very well, and he actually made it into the team of the week on the bench this week.
Yeah, he did for sure. I saw that, and yeah, that was pretty. It's pretty nice to always have a DC player on there. But yeah, I was really happy to see that. So we get some representation. I mean, he had those 2 goals in the Chicago game, and yeah, he played
Yeah,
pretty well. So I'm
yeah.
glad that he
Well,
got the nod.
yeah. Long may it continue.
Okay, cool. Anything else about the San Jose game?
No, I think we've had a nice little rant about the referees and
Yeah.
yeah,
Don't remind me.
yeah. But no, I'm happy with what we chatted about on the San Jose game.
Sweet, cool. So I thought after talking about that, we could talk about maybe. So yeah, so basically the season is half over,
Yep,
and we have a couple weeks off, which is nice. We're in the top 3. We're not doing that bad,
yep,
but we probably should be doing better with the amount of talent and the amount of investment that's happened in our squad. However, I'm curious a couple things. Basically, like your first thoughts on those couple comments, and then maybe we can get into some, transfer stuff for the next window and stuff like that.
yeah. I mean, obviously the season as it's gone so far, yeah, as you said, we're in the top 3. Looking at the table, obviously there is other teams who've got games in hand against us, which does worry me a little bit because when you look at the conference at the moment, actually we're in second at the moment on 27 points, but we've played 17 games. You've got Atlanta who've turned their season around. They've got 2 games on hand on us, as well as the Red Bulls. You've got NYCFC, who again they've started to turn their season around as well. They've only played 13 games only 7 points behind, so they could overtake us. And then you got Toronto in 7th, who finish off the playoffs, who are on 18 points and played 14. So there's potential for us to drop a couple of places, which isn't great. But from when you look at sort of the overall statistics, where we've only lost 4 times this season, which when you look at that on paper, out of 4 games out of 17 we've lost, that's not bad. It's just we've had 6 ties, and I think we could have done a lot better with that. And that's, for me, is just through a lack of goals over the last couple of months. And if we had a couple of those go, obviously the other way, obviously ifs and buts, but we would be way ahead in the table, and we'd be looking towards competing with the likes of LAFC at the top of the supporter shields. It's not bad. There's definite room for improvement, and I think with the right additions to the squad over this summer window, I think we could potentially again turn our season around, just like the likes of Atlanta and NYCFC have done, and actually push to finish top of the conference and push LAFC for a place at the top of the supporter shield.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think those are great points, especially the thing with, Atlanta and New York having games on hand on us. I mean, yeah, and I think it's also important to realize that Atlanta is really good now. They showed out rough, but they don't have Barco even right now. He's at the U20 World Cup, but they still have been playing quite amazingly and have 8, I think, clean sheets. And so, yeah, I mean, it's going to be tough to compete with them, especially since they do have games in hand on us. But same thing with Red Bulls. I mean, their striker BWP is not even playing right now. He's injured. So I don't know when they get these players back, maybe after the break, it could be quite hard to compete. So
it's going to be a good end to the season. I think it's certainly going to be tight, and it should actually make for an exciting run into the ready for the playoffs.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I was just thinking of the DC United Red Bulls game, which I guess they'll probably come up to New York, and so I'll probably go to that.
Yeah.
And the Atlanta DC game, which I'm going to be going to in the latter part of July. So those should be really exciting. And I've also never been to Mercedes-Benz before, so I'm excited to try that out because it looks, I mean, amazing. And I think they're going to be opening up the whole stadium, so like 70,000, 72,000.
Flip.
I'm assuming so. They don't do it every game, but for that, I'm pretty sure they would.
Yeah, it is one hell of a stadium. That it just looks absolutely gorgeous, and that rotating roof. What the heck? You guys have got some great stadiums over there.
Yeah, for sure, and I'm really excited about it. My dad actually lives down there near Atlanta, and so he's been to one of the games, and he says it's pretty crazy. So I'm excited to go to see. I hope a lot of DC fans go to that.
Yeah.
I'm gonna try to do like a tailgate thing or something, but so it should be a lot of interesting matchups. I think we're gonna have to be fighting a little bit. We're gonna have to really get back on our winning ways.
Yeah.
But yeah, like you also mentioned, 4 losses isn't that bad at all. We the real thing right now is we have tied a lot of the games that we really should have been winning. I think the Chicago Fire game, we should have given ourselves more of a leeway on either end, either more goals or probably tighter defense. And the San Jose game, we really should have done better at home against a San Jose team. But so the MLS transfer window, the summer one, is going to be opening up in July 7th, I believe. And so first off, like, what do you think we need? Like, what are the positions of need, like, and anything like that?
Yeah, so for me, I would love to see us take on another quality striker, because we've only got 2. We've only got Rooney and Quincy Amarikwa at the moment. So I would like to see us add a third striker to the mix, because not only will that give Quincy a little bit of competition, but also give hopefully Rooney a bit of competition, because he might at the moment see it a bit too easy for him to be in the side all the time. Not that you'd want to drop Rooney, because he's a bloody good striker, but he needs that bit of competition and that someone breathing down his neck. I'm trying to think who else. I'd want to inject some pace into the team somewhere, so I'd go for another winger as well. Defensively, I don't think we need too much at all. We seem to be fairly solid at the back. I wouldn't want to change that too much. We've got enough fullbacks now to see us through for years to come. I mean, Mora's not going to be hopefully too much longer. You've got Adoyachem there. You've got Jalen Robinson who can play at fullback. You've got Hara. You've got Ariola who can cover there. Potentially Segura. Rodriguez who can play as a wing back. So I don't think we need anything there, but we just need a little bit of pace too. So only a couple of additions, I reckon. But I think with those couple there with pace and another striker, I think that would help us push to clinch that playoff place and hopefully push for a potential supporter shield as well.
I agree on the pace part. I think one way that we could do that is a really fast striker like we had last year in Darren Maddox.
Yep.
I think bringing him on, even if Rooney was still on the field, like was a way to come back into games or fight for a win.
Yeah.
I think that was extremely helpful having someone that fast to come in against, in the 80th minute even and just run against a tired defense. And so something like that would be awesome. As for a winger, there is a lot of rumors about Yamil Assad coming back.
Yep.
And so I'm curious what you think about that.
I would love to see him back. I think he would be a great addition to the squad. Because he primarily played on the left side, so that would give Rodriguez a bit of competition. Obviously, there's the potential departure of Lucho Acosta, which would make way for Assad to come in. And I think having Assad back would be great. It would be great to see him there, but I would love to see him and Acosta in the side again, because I think them two worked really well last season.
Assad also had some chemistry with Rooney. We saw a little bit, but yeah. I would really like to see this happen. I think TT's been pretty good, but yeah. I think having Assad, I mean, we know is going to be great. We know he has been great, and so having them, little competition, but also someone we could bring in late and know that they are good and can make some things happen. But cool. Yeah, you also mentioned maybe Acosta leaving.
Yeah.
So let's say Acosta is sold in this window. How likely do you think this is, and what do we do if it happens?
I don't think it's fully likely, mainly just because he's coming towards the end of his contract. If he's going to leave, it will more than likely be at the end of the season. That's where it's more likely to happen. But if he does leave in this window, then obviously bringing in Assad would kind of be a nice ready-made replacement for him. But I would love to see Griffin Yao come in a bit more often, I think, and actually fight for a place. Yes, he's only 16 years old, but I think that would be an incredible experience for him. And I don't know who else we would bring in as a replacement, to be honest, because I'd imagine we'd sign Rodriguez on a permanent basis, because I think we've got an option to buy him for, I think it's either $500,000 or $1 million. I don't think it's an expensive purchase for him. If we do make money from an Acosta sale, I think that would be a nice little addition to that. And even signing Hara on a permanent basis, I think that would just settle the team down a little bit more as well. And it'd be nice to be another central attacking midfielder in, as well as Assad, if Acosta does go. But I don't think it will happen this window. I think we'll end up, if we do lose him, we'll end up losing him on a free transfer at the end of the season, which is going to be the worst case scenario.
I think it's possible that we end up selling him this window. I don't think it's likely.
Yeah.
But the real thing about that is if we do end up losing him on a transfer, which means he wouldn't have extended with us, which means we wouldn't have had to pay him pretty much that much money for the rest of the season. So I mean, so there's also that money kind of like floating around. We've offered Acosta, $3 million a year or whatever. So in theory, that money is still available for other purchases. Maybe not the full amount because it's Acosta and he's a quote unquote sure thing, I guess. But so there is money and investments could come, and I think this window could be big because we know that he is leaving and that we don't have to offer him that much money.
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be an interesting window for us. I think there might well be quite a lot of eyes looking over us at this window just to see what does happen with us.
Yeah, and the one thing that I have down here is if we do, so we've been playing this, three back formation, and
Yeah,
I think Jalen Robinson is a good depth piece, but I don't necessarily see him being able to start if we, make it into the playoffs. And
yeah,
I think, Pines is going to come back and stuff like that, but having someone that is maybe a little bit more experienced than Robinson, and maybe even like older and has played in a top flight, but
yeah,
is maybe looking to move on or leave in their team, could come in and give us some really solid depth and maybe even compete for Brilliant or his spot. So,
yeah.
but if we do end up doing the 4-2-3-1 more, then it's not as big of a deal because you always have that one that you can bring in from the bench.
Yeah,
But yeah, if we're doing the three back, it makes sense that we would probably need a little bit more there.
yeah, I totally agree with that. I think, yeah, if we start doing the three back, yeah, because we've only got what I would potentially class as three out and out centre backs. Where you've got Bam, you've got Pines, and you've got Brillant. Robinson, as you said, is a depth player, so he can play it anywhere across the back positions. And Doyacham as well, he can play it. He can play at centre back. I've seen that happen before with him, but I wouldn't say he's an out and out centre back either. So yeah, if we went to the three at the back more often, yeah, I agree. We would need to have somebody else come in to give that a bit more depth and a bit of competition as well.
Yeah, I agree. But yeah, so do we think on the opposite way, do you think there's anyone that we would be needing to replace because we've potentially sold them?
Um, I don't really see actually anybody leaving, to be honest, at the moment. If anyone's going to be in the outgoing, I think it's just going to be to Loudon on loan, if anything. Yeah, right now I can't see anyone leaving. Mainly because
Yeah,
we don't have, unless it's Costa, we don't have a big enough squad to actually warrant people leaving the club right now.
yeah, for sure. I think that that's probably true. I think we will keep our squad for the most part, but there was a lot of rumors linking Chris Durkin to a couple of clubs.
Yeah,
And there also was a little bit of talk about maybe Moreno getting sold. I mean, I don't
yeah.
see too much behind these things, but it's definitely possible, especially with Durkin, considering he's not really broken the first team.
If
But
he
yeah,
wasn't if he wasn't at the under 20s World Cup, I think he would be in the starting lineup right now instead of Knaus. Because I don't Knaus hasn't played well recently in the last couple of games, and we've not had anyone really to replace him with, apart from obviously Areola filling in there, which that is just for depth. That's not an out and out centre midfielder. So I think once USA have finished their tournament, I think Durkin might actually get a run in the first 11. To be honest, well, that's what I would do anyway.
yeah, it's possible. Knaus's form has not been that great, and yeah, I mean, it doesn't hurt to kind of send a message by starting someone else sometimes, and so.
Yeah,
Yeah, maybe he won't get sold. I mean, eventually I think he will, but
yeah.
probably not in this window.
No, he's a very good player, and it'll be nice to see him perform well on. I not to say MLS isn't a big stage, but on a bigger stage, because I've seen rumours of him being linked to the Bundesliga in Germany. It would be great to see him maybe perform on the big stage over there, like Weston McKennie has done. I'd love to see him in the EPL though. I think that would be great, but whether would he get a work permit to play there or not, that's going to be another matter entirely right now. But I would love to see him play on a bigger stage. I'd love to see him play on a big stage for DC, but as it stands at the moment, MLS isn't the biggest stage in the world, and we shall see what happens. Hopefully, it's not in this window, but maybe it's in a few windows' time.
Yeah, for sure. Cool. And I think that's it for transfer stuff, unless you had anything else there.
I've not seen anything else at the moment in terms of DC rumors. Anyway, I've been just been having a quick look online, see if I can find anything, but nothing at the moment.
There's some very like sketchy rumors coming out of like
Yeah,
Argentina and stuff, but they're so like up and down, and there's also like People talk about Ashley Young coming and stuff, which I highly doubt.
Yeah, I did talk about that on Twitter, but looking at it, yeah, he's just been made the club captain as well, so I can't see that happening, to be honest.
Yeah, it
So,
seems very unlikely. A lot of rumors about former Rooney United teammates coming
yeah,
over, but I don't really find most of them that like probable, and
yeah.
so
I think the only other one that I seen was heavily rumored was Antonio Valencia, but again, I can't really see that happening. There was a tweet, I think it was a tweet that was sent out. Sent out about Valencia coming to DC, and actually Valencia liked that tweet and retweeted it, and that was how that rumor started. But apart from that, that seems to have settled down on that side of things. And like I said, Ashley Young has just been made club captain. I That will be an incredibly weird thing to happen for him to be sold just after he's been made club captain.
yeah, I don't think that one is that likely, and I don't think that it would necessarily be that good of a move. I don't think he would necessarily fit in that well with what
Mm,
we have going on right now anyway. So
yeah,
yeah, cool. So that wraps up transfer stuff. The one last thing is I just got off watching the U20 World Cup, and the U.S. national team, the
yeah.
under 20s, we beat out France, which was
That's a
it
heck of a
was
result, isn't
crazy.
it?
Yeah, we
Yeah.
did not expect that necessarily, and so I'm pretty happy about that. Chris Durkin wasn't playing because he had a yellow card accumulation, which happens, but
Yep.
we pulled out a 3-2 win, and I think pretty exciting. Not too much necessarily to look into, but we were definitely not the favorites there. We were, and so
Yeah. I was
it's exciting.
just reading up on it. One little stat about it is it's the first time France have been behind in the tournament, and for them, that's their mate. That's an absolute awesome result.
Yeah, I mean, watching it was a pretty exciting game too, and so I
Yeah,
think we went up basically 1-0, and then we went down 2-1, or yeah, 2 to
yeah,
1,
yeah, yeah,
and then we came back, and it was just like so exciting. And we definitely have a lot of talent. We have a team that is mostly playing professional minutes, and so
that's good.
I mean, you
That's
have
really
to.
good.
That's the big difference, right? Like a lot of like France obviously has a lot of that too, but
Yeah,
the big difference between even maybe 10, 20 years ago is those players on our youth national teams didn't have the opportunity to do that. They were playing in college, they were playing like those kind of things, and having these development academies in MLS teams, and the USL is a big part of this as well.
yeah,
Especially, I mean, even for Chris Durkin, who played with the Kickers for a while,
yeah.
to part of their development, and it really shows the amount of investment that this country's been doing to bring up players, and in our own weird way, I guess, but still it seems to be working. We have a very talented team with a bunch of young professional players who were able to beat out France, who hasn't lost yet. So
Yeah, and it's good for the future. It's good to see that that youth has been really heavily invested in. It's good to see, and it looks like you, from again reading some comments on Twitter about it, that it was a really good brand of football that the under 20s are playing right now. It seems to be quite exciting stuff.
yeah, I mean, even looking at these games, it's very, for the most part, there's obviously some not so great stuff, but for the most
Yeah,
part, it's definitely something that I'm not used to seeing like an American team play like this, like on any level.
yeah,
And so it's just kind of like crazy, and I'm finding it really fun to watch and follow. And the thing that I think this will also help us with is in America we have a lot of potential people in our pool who
yeah,
are Mexican American,
yeah.
and so like dual nationals, and getting them to see like, oh, like, well, Mexico, they lost all their games, I think, and
Oh
they're
dear.
out of the tournament. And so maybe seeing this is one of the ways that we either keep the players that we have kind of in our system, or maybe even bring some over from the Mexican side. um,
Yeah,
I know Alex Mendez on the U20 team, who also didn't play because of yellow card
yeah.
accumulation today, but he is one of those dual nationals who looks like to be a really creative and really talented young midfielder who could definitely be the future play on the senior team not too far from now. And
That's good.
watching him do free kicks is like amazing. Like it's especially for someone of his age, it's pretty crazy. So
Yeah.
Yeah, anyway, I just wanted to mention that because that just happened and I'm excited about it. So,
No, absolutely. I don't blame you. I think again, I'm just having a quick read up on it now. You've got Ecuador on Saturday. Um, I'm not. I'll be honest. I'm not really caught up with much of the under-20 World Cup. I think that's mainly because I think we're in England. We've been partaking in the Toulon tournament, but Ecuador in the quarterfinals. So, how far further do you think you guys can actually go in this tournament?
yeah, that's a good question. I think Ecuador is pretty good at this level. They just beat Uruguay and are the reigning South American champions.
Oh,
So,
right. Okay.
they're pretty good. They're performing better than their senior team, like
Yeah.
relatively. Yeah, so I'm kind of nervous about it, but I mean, if we can pull out a win against France without Chris Durkin and without Alex Mendez, and I
Yeah.
think Alex Mendez is probably our best player, or definitely top 2 or 3. So I
Mm.
think we can pull this out. At least trying to go to the final, I hope.
Yeah.
But I think it's definitely there for us if we want it, and they really dig in and try because I mean France was probably the best team in the tournament as far as I can tell. So
Oh,
yeah,
fingers crossed that you get at least make the semi-finals, if not the final, because yeah, it's good to see, and it is going to be great for the future, especially when it's coming up to the next World Cup in 2022. That's going to be one to look out for you guys, I reckon.
yeah, absolutely. And I think it's interesting because yeah, we have this U20 tournament right now, the World Cup, U20 World Cup, and the Women's World Cup's coming up pretty soon,
Yes, yeah,
and which US is pretty well positioned for as usual.
yep,
And the Gold Cup. And so I'm thinking like, if we're able to pull out like U20 men's win or even getting to the final would be a huge deal.
yeah.
And a women's win and potentially a men's Gold Cup victory. I think it kind of could be a big turning point for soccer in this country.
Yeah, I think I'm just gonna put this out. Our girls from over here will give your girls a good run this World Cup, I reckon. After what happened, after we finished third, I think it was in the last World Cup.
Yeah, they're doing pretty well. They also won there was like a cup around here called the She Believes Cup,
Yes,
and
yeah,
England won that one. And
yeah,
so they're doing pretty well as well.
yeah. It's and we've got a former England's international men's coaching right now with Phil Neville, which is interesting to see because he seems to have actually kept the style of play going, and actually we're doing some quite good attacking stuff at the moment in the women's game, which I'm really pleased to see. It's nice to see us doing rather well. I just love to see the women's game grow and continue to grow with how it's doing across the world right now, because I think there's a lot of press coverage, especially over here right now. It's a lot on Channel 4, which is one of the big TV channels across the nation. You've got it a lot on BBC as well. They've even got you've obviously been UK. Did you ever watch Match of the Day when you were over here?
I don't think so.
No, so Match of the Day for you guys over in the US is it's kind of our Saturday night Premiership catch up, EPL catch up highlight show. So it's been running for over 50 years now. So it's kind of a British staple. It's always on BBC One. And what they do now is actually straight after that they'll also show the Women's Super League in the from England as well. So they show the highlights from that as well, which is actually really good to actually have on here. And then on Channel 4, we've also on a Saturday morning, they will show highlights from across the world from the women's game as well. So it's good to see that coverage has been happening in the women's game as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think one of the things that happened in New Jersey, I guess it was the day after we faced the New England Revolution a couple weeks ago, I guess. So
Yeah.
the U.S. Women's national team had a send-off match versus Mexico
Okay.
in Red Bull Arena, and it
Ah, yes, yeah.
100% sold out. It
Yeah.
was pretty amazing. I wish I could have made it, but I was stuck up in Boston. But the funny thing about that is like they were selling that out, and when the Red Bulls play, they have to tarp up a bunch of the seats because they can't even fill it. And so that was kind of like very cool to see that the women's team was able to fill that stadium.
Yeah, I actually know a few people who went over to the game, and from the pictures and the videos, it looked like an absolute cracking atmosphere as well.
Yeah, it did. It looked really fun, and there was a lot of like podcasters there and like people from Twitter and stuff like that. So it looked really fun.
Yeah, yeah, it really did. And it's good to see that the women's game can outsell the Red Bulls.
Yeah. God, I hate the Rebels, but yeah. So anyway, I think that's all for this week. Anything else? Do you want to tell people how to find you, your Twitter and website?
Yeah, so just obviously a little reminder on that. So on Twitter, it's at DCUnitedKingdom. If you want to have a listen into my podcast as well, if you search on your favorite podcast app, the DC United Kingdom podcast. Our website is DCUnitedKingdom.com, and we're also on Facebook and Instagram now at DC United Kingdom FC.
Awesome stuff. So yeah, go ahead and check him out. A lot of the stuff I love. I like to listen to the podcast, and so yeah, that's it for this week. Thank you for listening, and goodbye.
Goodbye.